Everybody, welcome into our masterclass this month for UAC. And we have one of our board members, and Steph, I don't know, you've been in UAC almost as long as I have. It's probably like 14 years or something now. Is that right?
I think 12. Yeah, either 11 or 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to me, you kind of epitomize um, the runway or the launch pad that is UAC. When we first met, you and Nick had a practice that I'm thinking was maybe 300 visits a week or something, and watched you guys grow that to 1,000 a week clinic with lots of. How many associates do you guys currently have?
We have 5.
5 associates. And then somewhere along the way, we got invited to step onto the board for UAC. So we've gotten to do that. I think that's probably been 6 years now, maybe 7. Um,
Yeah.
but what I want to talk about in the master class that I've really found interesting is you've always had a passion for pediatrics, and I know you and Nick took a little while to get pregnant with your first, with Alex, and I feel as an outsider that really ignited this passion for pediatrics, and I remember some conversations with you. You were trying to figure out your voice and how can you contribute, and is it a book? Is it? And then one day you suddenly popped up with this Instagram page, Building
Yeah.
Better Brains. And
Yes.
and so then I've watched you grow that to, I think you're up in the 300,000s last time I looked for followers. And then the latest curveball is now you're pivoting that into, you and Nick have purchased a company called EasyPlay that will be providing products that are very congruent with the page. And so that's what I want to break down today, specifically the arc of once you guys built that beautiful dream practice, and you decided to go on this Instagram influencer, for lack of a better word, journey. I'm kind of curious because I know a lot of people in UAC are doing that, have an interest in doing it. I think you can talk to the pros and cons of it that I want to get into, but then
Yeah.
also how you monetize it, because and we've talked to other people in UAC, from Dan Pompa to Caitlin to Steve Janopoulos to Lynn Mound, Brooke Stillwell, and there's a lot of ways, Lauren Brunklick. There's a lot of ways people are doing this, but I think your approach is kind of unique with the product company. So that's an overview. I'll start shutting up now. First, just what was that? I mean, what did it take to get going, and then what did it take to get some traction on Instagram? Let's just start there.
Yeah, so I'll just start even, like, a little bit at the root of it. I had read this book way back before ever even having kids. I remember we went to Puerto Rico with Nick's family, and I took along this book that I'd heard about at a seminar that, it was called How to Teach Your Baby to Be Physically Superb, and it was a PT from, like, the '60s, but he was talking about all these things that were so in alignment with chiropractic, and I was, like, obsessed with it, and I was like, "I can't wait to do this with my kids one day." I started talking to parents about it, just really understanding the importance of, like, training the horizontal plane, developing the brain from the base up, like, just everything just made sense. It was almost like parenting and brain development on purpose, like that you could, as a parent, like actually directly affect, the brain development of your child. What happened was, it was like they had brain injured children, and that's what they were dealing with. And they were like, what if we did this with well kids? What would that look like?
Yeah.
And so what they found was just absolutely amazing. I mean, kids were, crawling way earlier, walking way earlier, and then how that paths the brain to, like, have this lifelong love for learning, And so I fell in love with that. Had Alex several years later, did all of the stuff, right? So there was this crawling track that, like, they wanted, because there's the crawling reflex, and they say that if you read, like, mainstream stuff, it says, the crawling reflex is there, but it disappears and then it comes back. Like, no, it's just not utilized because nobody, like, gives their baby the opportunity to crawl and put a baby down on their stomach to do that. And so it was so cool to see, like, my son, up on all fours crawling at 4 months old, and then just seeing his body develop physically from that point. But then also to see, like, I homeschool my kids, so I, like, get to see firsthand how fast they, like, get math and they get reading and, just, like, all of these things. So I think I always, like, from the minute I think I read that book, I had this desire to share it with the world, and I didn't know what that looked like. But then I was also like, but I don't even know if it works. So until I have kids, I need to be able to see that. And so then I had my kids, and then I'm like, okay, but like, are they really going to turn out well? So I think you always have those like little pieces of self doubt that never like allow you to get started. And I wasn't planning to have I was planning to start some type of, like, online something when I had Phoenix. So I took so many videos when he was developing and growing, but I just never actually started anything, right? And so it wasn't until I had Arya, and I was like, "Oh my gosh," when I got pregnant with her, I was like, "I know God's telling me I have to get this stuff out there, like, I know that's part of this because we weren't planning to have a 3rd kid. And so, Caitlin thankfully was awesome and really like did push me a little bit into it. And she's like, just start, just start. And so she gave me some tips of like, you just need to commit to daily posting. Always have that like angle that's like what you want to bring to the world. Like whatever that is, like you've always got to reconnect it back. So you can talk about a variety of topics, but it always has to link back. And for me, it was the brain, like the baby brain, right? And so I did. I was like,
So, Steph,
"Okay,
hold on,
yeah."
hold on. That's one thing that's unique to me here is I think a lot of people wanting to get going online, one of the schools of thought is throw a lot of stuff out there and see what sticks and then lean into that. Um, I think in your case, you really obviously from your story approached this from a place of purpose. You knew you had a purpose, you had a love for this, then you got to test it out on your kids to further build your confidence and your certainty in it. And then you built this around it, which is a different approach than like, hey, that one video got 2 million views. Maybe I need to lean into this. If you're looking at it from the lens of just influence and reach, I think that's a good approach. But again, back to the chiropractic tenet of working out of a core value and a purpose, it's probably a lot easier when you're grinding out videos when you're really passionate about getting that out to the world instead of just you got to make another piece of content. Am I wrong on that? Am I right? Do you have any insights on that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel lucky because I did know what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? I've had lots of friends that have, talked about like, I want to do something, but I don't really know what. And like, you can definitely take that approach and be like, let's throw it out there and see what sticks. Just hopefully you don't get stuck into something you don't want to go with, but you don't have to pursue it. That's the cool thing about online, is like, you really can take it any way you
Yeah.
want. Like, I know some of my early videos that went really like more like way more viral were like hanging videos. And I was like, at one point I was like, do I take it just with hanging, and just teach people the importance and like all that? Like I am way too much of I love variety too much that there's no way I would have been happy just thinking about hanging. I just got to think about the whole baby brain. You know what I mean? But that could have been a
Yeah.
loophole that I like went down, but I chose to I chose to keep my like broader status because I like to talk about a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about the rhythm of posting. Like, how'd you fall into that? I think you do a lot of it yourself from when we've spoken in the past. What have you learned from that side of it? Once you got a little traction and all right, there's some people interested in this. Any best practices? How do you manage it? How do you do it? What kind of frequency? Does it take over your life? Are you able to manage that in a way that it doesn't? What are your thoughts there?
Okay, so I have rules that I've just given myself. Unfortunately, like the best time for me to post is at night after my kids go to sleep. So a lot of the times they fall asleep and then I sit up in bed and just like do my post. The thing I love about it is like a creative time for me, which I don't feel like I have like a lot of time dedicated in my day to just be creative, but you've got the music, so I can like make sure the words are popping up when the music drops or, just different things like that, which I find fun. So I've definitely found like a love for getting to do those posts every night, which has been really fun. I wouldn't recommend at night just because, probably being on your phone right before you go to bed is just like probably not the best thing for my health. So I do plan to change that eventually. Especially once I'm done like breastfeeding and all that stuff. I think that I'll be able to like change my rhythm a little bit, but that's the time that I've been able to commit to, and so every night it's just part of my rhythm. I like get the kids to bed and then I like find my idea. Um, I try to keep a list of ideas in my phone, and I also have like a folder within my Instagram of all of my best like performing posts because you can do things to recreate those because obviously your audience likes that content. That's what I utilize for inspiration. I also follow a lot of people like kind of within the same parameters of people that are talking about a lot of the same things just because a lot of the times that'll spark me to like maybe want to do something controversial that maybe is against what they're saying, or maybe it's something that's, similar, but my own take on it. I think that is really like really beneficial to be able to like, I mean, I never copy people's content, but it is nice to have like inspiration of like different hooks or different ways to like, get people to be like, ooh, what's that about? And so I
Yeah.
think that that's super helpful too.
Do you post every day? Do you have some days you don't?
So my goal is like 5 times a week. So and I don't have like a specific day that I take off, but like last night, for example, I wanted to do a Pilates class and have dinner with a girlfriend. And when I got home, I was just like, I'm just done. I'm not doing it tonight. You know what I mean? But I've posted every day this week. So I'm like, I can do that,
Yeah.
And so my goal is to like, I almost always get 5, sometimes six posts a week. But I am like, because one of the things that's really important about this also is like your engagement. And so I try to post and then engage so that I get it like kind of all done at one time. And then like I said, I homeschool my kids and I still am working in my practice. And so I really try to like I block my time. You know what I mean? Like there's times where I allow myself to get on Instagram and do some of that stuff. And like when I'm homeschooling my kids, my phone is not anywhere near me, Nobody can get a hold of me when I'm doing that. Like that's just like so I do like really try to be super present and so that I can't because I think it can consume you. I mean, we know that phones are addictive, and so it can totally consume you. But if I just like
Mm.
put it in another room and make sure that that's like not something that I pay attention to, because it is really fun, like, especially when you have a post going viral, it's so fun to go back and like be like, oh my gosh, it just like gained, 10,000 views in like 10 minutes or, whatever. It's like, it's fun to watch that stuff.
Yeah.
And then you start monetizing a lot of those things and you start seeing the sales roll in. And it's just really like, it is really fun to watch, but I've really had to control that, like, and know that, okay, I'm gonna wait and look there, and then it'll be like a really fun thing to look at versus, just seeing things like dripping in. But it is like,
Yeah.
I mean, it is fun because, like I said, it's almost like it's gamified in itself, It's a really fun business to be a part of for sure.
Let's talk
Okay,
about
sorry.
monetizing a little bit. So, what have you tried that's worked? What have you tried that hasn't worked? Before we start talking about EasyPlay and your decision to go that route, but early on, what are some of the things you did that was, wow, I'm getting a check for this? And what are things that you did that just weren't worth your time? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I think that like I mean, I'm glad that I just jumped in and didn't take the time to create a product, but like getting into it, I wish that from the beginning that I would have had like some type of digital product or even free things to offer. Cause I think my engagement and my like, even my following probably would have taken off a lot faster if I had something really to offer. So that's one thing, like, I mean, I would do over if I was going to start a business over again online like that, I would already have something. Um, but like the first thing that I did was the first I started this in July, and so when it was Black Friday, Caitlin was like, "Let's do something simple, do like a Black Friday deal or whatever." And my big thing was like I had to like get over being a perfectionist and like all the things, right? You want to just like roll out this super cool thing, but we wanted to do something like low ticket, and so I came up with this checklist But then once I got the checklist, I was like, okay, we have to do some videos because otherwise people don't know what I'm talking about. And so I put together this checklist, and it's been great. Like it's been, I mean, it's still a product that I continue to sell. But I am going to roll it into an app because it's like not the most user friendly thing on the planet. Like as a new mom, like I think an app is going to make it so much easier. So that's my goal for 2026. But like that, so that was one thing I did. I wouldn't say it's like flopped by any means, but it hasn't been like uber successful. And I think a lot of that is because it's like when you go to buy it, it's like just kind of confusing about like what it actually is. And I like to talk about the brain on brain levels versus the age of the child. So that's a little confusing. So I recently came up with a quiz that you can take that you can find out what brain stage your child's at. So that's been a huge change as far as like understanding my products and my approach when it comes to a child's brain, because a baby at 6 months might be crawling up on all fours or may like not even be moving at all. And so it's dependent on the
Yeah.
brain level. So I can't really say like at 6 months you should do this with your kid. And so
Yeah.
that has been that's been really fun to do. But having free products so that people can almost like test you out, I think has been a huge key difference of they, get to experience you a little bit and they can see like, oh, I like how this person teaches and I like what they say and I'm in alignment with them. I'm going to buy their products. And so the more free things that I've gotten
Yeah.
given out, the more that people have bought stuff. So that's been really fun.
Yeah. That's cool. What about I think I've seen you put some maybe like Amazon type, I don't know if they call those affiliate links, or is that
Yeah.
lucrative? Has that not been lucrative for you? What have you found on that side of it?
Yeah, so it's funny because like at first I started doing some of the Amazon stuff and I was like, wow, this is pennies. Like, why is everybody doing this? But thankfully, one of my patients, she does she's been a blogger for like 16 years or something, so she's been in this whole business forever, and she brought me to like a social media group. They were all bloggers, which I didn't really fit into, but was really really helpful because they were talking about Amazon stuff and they're like talking about deep linking things. And then they're talking about like the bonuses they're getting. And like one of the girls was like, oh my gosh, Prime Day was so good for me. I made $21,000. I was like, on Amazon? Like, how did that happen? And it turns out they have like programs that you can then apply to be in, like they're invitational only, but like you have to apply to get the invite. And so you actually you can get bonuses based on shipped revenue. And so yeah, that's like, I mean, that's equal to the products that I sell. I get about the same money that I will get like on, Amazon links that I'll put out there. And it's really fun because you can put together buying guides. Like, I can do it per brain level and be like, hey, if your kid's at this brain level, here's the toys that they need to develop to get into the next stage. And so that's been like pretty lucrative. And I mean, honestly, it's so helpful for parents. Parents want to know the right things to buy. They don't know what's best for their baby at the stage that they're at. So they love the ease of being able to click, buy, and then you
Yeah.
actually get credit for everything in their cart. So it's pretty cool.
How have you found this is a weird question, but kind of, our disposition of maybe the crunchy mom side of things, but yet I notice you don't really I think it's about brain development. I don't think you get into vaccines and diet and toxicity and, was that conscious? You decided how you navigated that, or was that challenging? Was it not? What's your approach been there?
Yeah, so I mean, it's been brought up on posts before. I don't personally like get on there to like that for that to be my like purpose. But like with the Doman Institute, they're kind of the same way. So I guess I've just chosen to take a little bit of the same approach that they have. It's like if it gets brought up, it's for sure talked about. So like if you go through my posts, if somebody has commented about vaccines and like, what's your opinion of vaccines, I'm going to tell them like, and I definitely let them know like what I feel and like what I've done with my own kids and that the things that I've seen in my practice. So taking things from that approach. And yes, like that could be like a thing that I would do. But the thing that I really love talking about is, the movement and like how our body feeds our brain. And so even though that definitely applies to a child's brain and like that, the toxins that we experience and things like that, like that definitely applies to the child's brain. It's just like, I would say it's a little bit outside of what I think my scope is and what I want to be talking to parents about. But like, it's fun because when I'm thinking about this app and thinking about different courses and things like that, like those are things that I want to add in, because then like those people are already, I know they're already my people. And then we can get into some of the depth that I can expose them to more of an understanding from an educational standpoint where they already trust you. You know what I mean? And you're able to like talk about some of those like more wildly controversial topics. I will say this, like when I started
Yeah.
building Brilliant Brains, like one of the things I literally had to tell Nick, I was like, Nick, I just have to say this out loud. Like, this page is not for everybody, And sometimes, like, you have to almost like really take that perspective of like because a lot of people are like, I mean, my doctor says like that they're not crawling and it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So like what you're saying is BS basically. And like my response is always like, you know what? My page isn't for everybody. This is not for the parent that just wants to let their kid develop on their own. This is for the parent that wants to be purposeful, wants to see their child thrive, wants to give their baby the advantage. You know what I mean? Like this is not for those parents that just want to sit in the stands and you know what I mean, let their kid do what they want. And so
Yeah.
I think that like that
That's
comes
fantastic.
with, some of the talks about like some of the more controversial things like vaccines and things like that. Like I love to talk about that stuff, but that's like I'm not utilizing my platform there like right now. Doesn't mean I won't, It doesn't mean
Yeah.
it won't come with the territory eventually, but like right now my passion and like what I want to establish myself as like really like the movement and how movement feeds the brain, cuz to me that's a concept that if parents just knew they would do. Does that make sense?
Yep. Absolutely. So you've got the Amazon way to monetize things, and then you're selling. It's not a like some people do like memberships, and that's not what you're selling. Yours is really product that you make. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a digital product. I have two digital products. I have a brain building checklist. It's like basically a routine that you can do at diaper changes that like applies to the stage of development that your child's at that takes 5 minutes. So every diaper change you do it. And then I also have a full what we call a like milestone masters playbook, but it's a vestibular program. So it's all like the movements that you want to do to develop your child's brain like through the stages. And like it's progressive. Both programs are progressive in nature. So it's kind of cool as your baby gets smarter and older and like, their brain has developed more, you move to the next stage.
And then how about the app? Do you envision that being a free app, but then there's like paid components, or how do you envision that? Or is it all free, or how does that work? Do they pay to download it?
Yeah, it's gonna be a paid actually, Kajabi now allows you to create your own app. Like, apps used to take, like, $200,000 to build, and Kajabi now has this, like, app, like, it's a branded app that you can do, and it really allows you to do almost everything you would at least that I would want it built out to do it. Like, allows you to gamify things, it allows you to, like, have checklists, there's downloads that are available in it, and you can have different levels within it. So I plan to have like a really low price point to again just build that trust. I don't know that if I'll do like a free trial in the beginning or if it'll just be like you enter at this low price point and then there's upgrades throughout the app. But like that's kind of I mean the quiz that I created will allow us to know at what stage you're going to enter into the app. And
Yeah.
then going forward from that, that's what I'm looking at. So like I said, it's in development. I'm planning to bring that out in 2026. So I think it'll be just
Cool.
the thing that I love about it is it has push notifications. So you can have something pop up on the mom's phone that says, "Hey, have you done your brain development exercises with your child yet today?" And so that can pop up throughout the day. And then if something's like like, say for example, one of the products that I'm like really in love with it on Amazon is on sale. Like I can send out a thing like that's a push notification that says, "Hey guys, like this is on sale. You don't want to miss this sale right now. Like if you haven't bought this for your child yet, you got to have this."
Yeah.
So it's just going to give you like a lot more touch points with your parents, or like your customers, whatever. But so I'm really excited to be rolling that one out.
How about the discipline of we were at a meal together and you were talking about your skincare routine and which is which is in a lot of ways the way we think congruent, but it's not congruent with that page. And yet, Amazon marketing. I guess my question is, how do you are you just disciplined about drawing the line? Like, yeah, I could make money off these other 10 things I know that are congruent, but it just doesn't go with the page. So I'm not going to do it because I think that's where some people maybe get in the weeds is they start
Yeah.
trying to sell everything that doesn't make sense with the page, even though it might be something they use personally. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty strict about that. Like I said, my friend who's been in it for a long time, she has her blog is like all about like clean eating, and she wrote a book and stuff like that. But like a lot of the time, she'll be like talking about her vacation that she's getting ready to go on, and here's the outfit that I bought, and like here's the link to this dress, and so she's always like,
Yeah.
Stephanie, if you're in the video, you should just link all your clothes. People want to wear what you're wearing, and I'm just like. Maybe, but I don't know. I feel like people are watching me, not for me. Like they're definitely watching what we're doing for like the brain development, the education. Like I think that I try to stay really clear on like what my purpose is within that. And sometimes
Yeah.
I will link things like, maybe the popsicles that I'm making, but they're clean and they're, not gonna put toxins into your child's brain. So to me, like I feel like if I can make it make sense, like I'll do it, especially my stories. I feel like I'm a little bit more loose in my stories
Yeah.
versus like the things that are like permanently there, that somebody's gonna hopefully be
Yeah.
going through and like, binging on my material.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. So let's talk about Easy Play.
Okay.
What was what was that opportunity? I mean, you're now getting into the world of producing home equipment, if you will. So tell everybody what that is and how you found it and where you're at in that stage and how does that fit in to this page and everything you're doing?
Yeah, well, the crazy thing is it fits in perfectly. And it's never something I would have if you had asked me 2 years ago, "Are you gonna own, like, a a toy indoor gym company?" I would have been like, "Never," you know? Um, but what happened I started posting videos about this crawling track that we utilize, and so I decided to put together a guide on how to build a crawling track because we built ours. That came from Doman's book, and, I mean, I just thought it was a game changer. It made all my kids crawl so early and so fast, and it was mind-blowing to put a newborn on a decline track and see them, like, rocket down the bottom. Like, when Caitlin had her baby, we had just gotten our first prototype, and we put little Zenon on it, and, like, he rocked that track. Like, it was, like, so cool to see. And, anyways, and so in the process of, everybody being like, "Where'd you get the track? Where'd you get the trough? Where'd you get that slide? Where'd you?" I was like, "Okay, well, I'll put together a free, guide on how to make this because I've made them before." So we put that together, and people don't build it. You know what I mean? Like so I tried to figure out an easier way to, get them to do it. So I put a slide with a yoga mat in it, but the material was really, really important as far as like if the baby's going to be able to slide down it with a onesie. And so we, I started talking to Nick and Nick's like, I think we got to probably just make it. And I'm like, what do you mean make it? And he's like, I think you should just maybe manufacture it. And so I had a friend in town that I was actually an EO with probably like 5 years ago. And I was like, well, he produces stuff. I'll see if he can give us some tips. So he had recently sold his company Chili Pad to somebody for quite a bit of money. And so he's like, I'm kind of free right now. He's like, I'll do this with you. I was like, you will what? And he's like, yeah, I'll totally do this with you. Let's make this crawling track. So we started on that journey and I was like, are we really doing this? And in that process, it was taking a while, like we were going to be producing it out of China. And so there was just like definitely drags and delays with that. But In the process, he was just online looking at businesses to buy, and he came across this company, EasyPlay. And EasyPlay is it's an indoor wooden jungle gym, basically. It's like monkey bars, like a slide and a cargo net, and then you can put different kinds of swings, like rope ladders and different like rings and all those kinds of things. So you can add all this fun equipment to it. And he's like, Stefanie, this is insane. Like what they have it for sale for, what their margins have been, and all this stuff. He's like, I think you got to get this. And I was like, well, I'm not buying it if you're not doing it with me. Like, I don't know what I'm doing in this world. And he's like, all right. He like decided, like, we kind of worked through things, and he's 20% owner of it as well. And so we're working on this project together. We found a new supplier. The original supplier was in the Ukraine. And the people that were working out of the Ukraine, obviously, when that war broke out, they lost their supplier. So we bought a company at a pretty low price because they had not actually been in production. They haven't sold anything new out of production in 3 years. And so, but they have inventory that they've been selling along the way of other items that they had on their website. But it's a 2-product company, and so they sold out of their 2 products, right? And so they've got these other ancillary things that sell just kind of randomly, but it was in such perfect alignment with what I already am promoting, like on Amazon, and getting like maybe $2 for,
Yeah.
to be able to then take it and turn around and be able to like really educate parents on how to utilize it. So there's no company out there that, they talk a little bit about like how this it helps the child in development, but like they don't take a parent through the process of like, okay, how do you really like get a child on this equipment that looks like it's made for 5 and 6-year-olds at 18 months old? Like, that's possible, And so I'm so excited to be able to bring this to parents and be like, let me show you. Because your kid's going to blow your mind. Like, their abilities are going to blow your mind if you just give them the opportunity. But parents don't know what to do, And so I'm excited to bring this element of education along with, you don't just buy a jungle gym. You're buying the knowledge to like it's an investment in your kid's brain, and then like
Yeah.
the earlier we invest, it's so much like compound interest, the benefits that you're going to see in their ability to read, their ability to learn, like their love for learning is going to be so obvious as you go along. So I'm so excited because I just feel like it's like the perfect marriage. We're in production right now. We'll have our first round of, it's called the Koala. It's the biggest indoor play gym, and that'll be ready for Black Friday. So I am so excited.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Are you gonna make a track then?
Yeah, so the goal is like we still have all of our track stuff, and actually a company out of Europe just contacted me. Like, probably I've sold a lot of their stuff. They do soft play, which is like, foam uh stairs and slides and different things that babies can play on and learn to like do those things before they like get onto wood. And I think it's going to be an actual like really good company to partner with, but they have contacted me and they're like, this slide that you have, like, I think we can make it, and I think we can make it better. So we just signed an NDA with them, and I think that we're gonna probably do some type of partnership because they already have all the materials. They already understand it. They want to do it. They're like, you've already sold so much of our stuff. So they're just excited. So they're excited to partner with me because I feel like I have the platform to get their stuff out there, and they have the ability to make exactly what I want. Like, I think it's going to be lightweight. I think it's going to, but I'm going to make sure that it can attach to my EasyPlay stuff. So I'm excited about where that can go. And I mean, it is wild when you're like on purpose, all the things that just like fall into your lap, like this company, like I never
Yeah.
would have thought I would be doing it, but we just did. So like Tuesday, I just spent 3 hours just doing all the recordings for the videos of like, hey, and I had all these babies coming in and all these different ages, and just like, it just makes me so excited to, like, really be able to provide this for parents because I think, one thing I've always noticed is if kids are meeting their milestones, as a parent, we always have self-doubt, right? And when you see your kid crushing it, you're like, "I must be doing something all right," you know? And so I just wanna give parents, like, that empowerment, that feeling of, like, "Maybe I'm killing it as a parent," you know?
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love it. What's the vision on this? What does this look like in 5 or 10 years? Do you have clarity on that yet?
I wouldn't say I have, like, awesome clarity on it. I think I'm like, I wanna see that this first round just fly off the shelves, you know? But the cool thing is, looking there's probably, like, 2 or 3 other companies really that are dominating the field when it comes to, like, Montessori types of, wooden play equipment. And I mean, some of these companies are bringing in like $128 million. Like I think a Venlor made that last year. They've got a bunch of products, but the vision I see is like I really want almost like a subscription model that you buy this big play gym, and then as your child grows, you're gonna get like different accessories that go directly with the brain development stage that your child's at. And I think that that will just like create that popularity around it of like, there's a company called Love Every that's what they do is like it's all just play toys, but I'm thinking of the same thing in this like bigger, you're playing on this, you've got this big jungle gym, and if you've already put it in your house, you want like the new things, the things that are going to develop your child to that next level and challenge your child's body and obviously brain.
Yeah,
So I'm excited about a lot of those possibilities as far as like product development goes, and just where we can take it in that way. And like, there's no company out there doing anything like that. So I think that that just creates like such a desirable product.
absolutely. What are your thoughts? I've read things. I think people tend to point to maybe the Kardashians, how their personal pages are so much bigger than their company pages. And you've built this big page that I guess isn't your name, but it is you building better brains. So what are you going to do with EasyPlay? Did you just promote that on your Building Better Brains page, or are you going to now put energy into an EasyPlay Instagram? What are your thoughts on how do you manage that with the company and that brand versus what you've built over here?
So, like, I guess when we talk about, what that looks like, Building Brilliant Brains is like my brand, right? And so we are definitely introducing like anybody that's, in the email list or like they have like 10,000 followers on their Instagram page. So our goal is like that like they're gonna know I own it, right? And that Building Brilliant Brains is involved. But Easy Play Toys is gonna stay its own thing because that is something I believe one day will sell, And so I think that I want to be able to like sell that and keep building brilliant brains no matter what, right?
Yeah.
And maybe we won't sell it, but that's the way that we would like to like design it is that we're going to have like two different entities, but they know that we're married together.
So we build an Instagram page for that separate, or have somebody
There's
else
already
do
an
that? Or
Instagram page for it. Yeah, there's already
okay,
one. Like I said, they have like I think it's like 10 or 12,000 followers. So I think what a lot of times will happen is I know you can do like collaborations and
yeah.
post things. So when I'm posting things specifically about Easy Play, I'll do collaborations so it shows up on both pages. But it allows me to talk about other things that maybe Easy Play customers aren't specifically looking for. So yeah, I'm adding a page to my Instagrams, so that'll be another thing to manage. But at the same time, that's going to be easier for me to have a VA work with and help me with as well.
Where do you get your VA from?
Oh, I don't know. I got this company, I think it's called Chiropractic Matchmakers.
Thank you for the plug, appreciate it. Uh, Fantastic stuff. Well, thank you for taking a minute to explain that arc. I mean, it really is, it's been fun to watch, and I just think for all the different almost everybody doing social media and UAC is taking a different angle,
Yeah.
and this was a totally unique one that you guys, are going down, so we're excited for you and Nick and what you guys are building, and, any last thoughts on any of it?
I mean, I'm just excited. I love being a part of UAC and being able to like sometimes I think like the big thinking comes from this group, you know, and it's like I am so grateful for that because I don't know if I ever would have thought that some of this stuff was even possible. Or, you know, it was Caitlin that like made me start the social media thing in the first place. So that like opened up the first opportunity. And then, you know, we have our little UAC social media group that we are all taking our products in different directions, but at the same time we're all able to like collaborate and like talk about, well, what do you think of this? And, you know, when we were going through the purchase of EasyPlay, like there was a lot of people I had to lean on, you know, as far as like, what's this contract look like? Is it okay to have a partner? Am I making a bad decision having a partner? You know, like, is this the best thing for me? And so, you know, it's so good to have this room full of people that, you know, have either bought businesses with people, have been in partnerships before, have, you know, here's what's worked, here's what doesn't work. Don't forget this, you know, like it was so awesome to be able to have that because I don't have to learn through like a bad experience. I'm really getting to learn from other people's experiences, which I think is such a value within UAC. So I'm so grateful to have all of you guys to help me out.
Well, thank you again for all your help with the board. It's been great working alongside you, and
So
congrats on the success. Great work.
thank you. Thanks, Alan.
Thanks, Dr. Steph.